Have you guys ever been 65 years old, considered running for president, invest millions of dollars of small donor money to start a campaign, and then 6 months in, not be able to attract a crowd of 15 people to a pizza ranch? Well, in this case, we're talking about Mike Pence, of course. And so, can you relate with this position? Because I personally can't, but we're going to delve into it right now. So here we have multiple faces of felt. As you can see here, he's squinting at the sun, kind of getting burned by the gaze of the Lord saying, "My son, why have you forsaken thee?" campaign. Because apparently he is just struggling. If you look over here to the side, you see where my finger's pointing. He's looking down, he's sucking it up. It's like he's taking a rectal examination by like a literal serrated blade of lemon juice, okay? So he's a very uncomfortable person with his lot in life. As you can see here, hand on hip, kind of seething on the belt with the microphone, coat microphone, position downwards, turtle mic. Then you've got his wife, who's like older than him, which is like crazy to me. And you've got him, gesticulating to a crowd of like two people for his campaign. It's absolutely pathetic. Like, this is really just junior varsity level political acumen on this guy's part, okay? It's crazy. Anyhow, on a crisp evening in the small town not too far from Iowa's southwestern border, Mike Pence's decades-long quest for the White House has come down to a coin toss. A coin toss, folks. It's tough. Okay, so here he is. He's been vice president not too long ago, so you would think he'd have a good start, but no. He's more of like a Dan Quayle, but boring and not good looking. You've got a guy here standing in a 50-yard line at a high school football field, which again, you're a 60-year-old man, what are you doing? All right, so he's in a town of about 7,000 people, so you ought to pull at least like 0.1% of the population, but he cannot even do that. I don't think he can. Now let's look over here. Now, this is the back-breaking part. If you look right here, you'll notice right off the bat that he debated Kamala Harris in front of 58 million different American citizens, and he actually won the debate. Now, that is like saying a 7-year-old beat a 2-year-old girl in a fight. Sure, but at the same time, you gotta say, like, okay, well, the little tyke Mike actually did well for the country. And then, what does he have here? A crowd of, 10 people? Kind of pathetic, isn't it? But it kind of shows that, as a shoo-in, like generic white guy, 60-year-old presidential figure, he's all right. But when it comes to any sort of competition or scrutiny, he falls flat on his face, like some sort of like great value brand politician. It's somewhat of a pathetic thing to watch, no? And so if you look down in the picture, you'll see that he's doing a coin toss for a high school football team, which is just pathetic because, again, like, dude, you're a grown man. Do you have anything more interesting going on? And no, all you can do is color commentate a fucking high school football game in Iowa. Anyway, it's just kind of pathetic, eh? This is another backbreaking little factoid, by the way. So was the appearance at the Trojan Bowl. Nobody's ever heard of the Trojan Bowl, by the way. This is like a box of condoms or something. But basically, was this a savvy play to go do color commentary for a high school football game to win over Iowans, or was it a desperate campaign option? And so it seems desperate for sure, according to David Kochel, who apparently worked on Mitt Romney and Jeb Bush's political action committees, which, if you're getting told you're being desperate by Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney acolytes, then you're really looking at a fucking barrel of a gun, and the gun's not even going to shoot you. Because basically what you're doing is just taunting death yourself by saying, you know what, actually, let me go color commentate some bullshit-ass game of football for high school kids. Like, what? Here we have Mike Pence riding a motorcycle, and again, it's like, but like, why are you even alive? So you're trying to be cool, you're riding a motorcycle, and I understand that most of these like AARP sort of Harley Davidson folks, I guess they are in the same age bracket as Mike, but I mean, he's kind of out of his element here, and it's somewhat disconcerting. It's somewhat like if you were to see a dollar store version of Michael Dukakis in the Tank in 1988. If you get that reference from 35 years ago, folks. But I mean, this is the sort of antiquated nonsense we're dealing with nowadays for whatever reason. Now, this is absolutely brutal, folks. In Greenfield earlier that day, he became as wistful and as self-reflective as I'd ever seen Mike Pence when a woman asked him whether or not he felt called by God to run for president. He said, and he actually told her this, I can't believe it, "We didn't run because we felt like we saw some sort of clear 8-lane superhighway straight to the Oval Office." Pence admitted to a crowd of 30 people as he began talking about his campaign in the past tense. In the past tense, folks. And again, he's trying to be president. He's already talking in the past tense. That's like some sort of Freudian admittance to complete felting and annihilation to the hands of Donald Trump on autopilot in this primary in 2024, the year of our Lord. And by the way, He's saying, well, we didn't see a highway approach to winning the presidency. Nigga, you don't even have a fucking dirt path. This is fucking pathetic. You know, the Lord says the eye of the needle, it's a narrow pathway to get into heaven for a rich man. But in this case, Pence is not even relatively rich, nor does he even have that as an option. You don't even have the eye of a needle. You've got an eye of a needle's rectum, microscopic, Ant-Man level, like straight up microscopic chance. And that's assuming that like 10 different people die in the campaign where you're like number one by default. That's like designated survivor, but for the primary, let alone sleepy Joe Biden as your competition. At that point, it's a 50-50. So that's for Mike Pence's odds, by the way, to be president. I mean, there's a better chance of me dating Margot Robbie. Like, I mean, seriously. So, I mean, it's somewhat pathetic, eh? Now, this is fucking pathetic, boys. All right, boys, look at this. Since disclosing that he had just had $1.2 million of cash left in his campaign, which I've never heard of a campaign having this little money, by the way. This guy's getting pocket mogged by Doug Burgum, of all people. Big Doug. Look, listen, he's broke. Secondly, you're talking about somebody with $620,000 in debt. This guy has half as much debt as he has money. He's broke. He ain't got a dollar. And then otherwise, his campaign even responds by saying that they're not even sure if he qualifies for the third presidential debate in Miami next month. That's tough. He's meeting the polling threshold to join the debate, which is like not even more than 5%. But then he's also, in a way, he's not qualifying for the donor threshold. And they quote and say the debt number is going to be impossible to pay back. When he drops out, he's going to have debt retirement fundraisers. Pathetic. So basically what this means is that we're dealing with the campaign in which they can't even go to the third debate and they're expecting to somehow win the presidency. Secondly, you're talking about a campaign that has so much debt that if he were to drop out today, he would have to basically pay out a ton of people with the $600,000 he has left and then have to do fundraisers for his debt in the campaign, but without something to like fundraise off of. So like you're going to be like, oh, I'm not running for president, but give me money anyway. Why? Because you owe money. Why? Because you suck. Yeah, basically. And by the way, you also have to factor in the fact that with respect to what he's saying here, there is something in a detail that has to be fleshed out. This detail has to do with, of course, you're looking at the poll numbers. The guy is polling because he goes on Fox News and he shits on Trump. And there's a small, and I mean small, like 2-year-old little like toe of actual, like these small anti-Trump sycophants. These people are basically propping up these anti-Trump candidates and they're keeping them alive in the polls, but they're not giving them money, right? So these are fair weather ass niggas in the respect of political campaign rhetoric. And so now we're talking about a group of people here that are obviously not going to support you when the rubber hits the road and we've got the final people counting all the bills. We're leaving the pocketbook completely empty of the campaigns that they're supporting. These people are fair weather as shit. And what's even better than that is that obviously we're dealing with a group of people that will watch Fox News, will eat their Krispy Kreme donut, will say, oh, wow, they hate Trump. That's so fucking kino. But then what they won't do is pay up. And so that's too fucking bad. Let's look through his itinerary and see what sort of crowds he's pulling as of recently. Okay, folks? This is a little bit topical of a flag of a prop. All right, so we've got this guy nearly 6 months into his presidential campaign. And what do we have to show for it? Fewer than 90 days until the Iowa caucuses in, I believe, January. We've got Pence not seeing massive crowds. In fact, he's getting mugged by Donald Trump. No shit. Fellow Midwesterner, by the way. I guess like Middle Easterner, Vivek Ramaswamy. That's funny. Anyway, Florida, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSatan, wow. Also, his frenemy, UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Okay, mogged by a woman. Cool. All right. 30 folks at a Penn drugstore in Sydney on recent Friday morning. Another 30 people at an Olive Branch restaurant in Greenfield. So not even Olive Garden, folks. This is absolute grouch status. Not even 30 people at an Olive Garden. 30 people at an Olive Branch restaurant, folks. What the fuck is an Olive Branch restaurant? We don't know. 60 people at a senior center at Glenwood the next day. So that's where you're getting your highest amount of voters, by the way. The senior center, the oldest, most impressionable like people in politics is like, oh my God, he was the vice president like 2 years ago. And I like remember that because I didn't have dementia back then. Oh my God, it's Mike Pence. That's literally, and you could get 60 people. That's not even half of a retirement home. A retirement home ought to have hundreds of people, right? At least one of the bigger ones, eh? So, I mean, it's looking like he's only averaging 2.6% among Republican voters within the state of Iowa. So it's like pathetic. There's no grassroots support. How are you a viable candidate for president only pulling at 3% in the state of Iowa, the one that state where you're supposed to campaign at the beginning? I mean, that's like where you're front loading all the effort. And what do you have to show for it? Campaign debt up the ass. And what? 30 people at a fucking knockoff Olive Garden chain restaurant? Okay. And really, we have a quote here. The media has already decided how it's all going to end. Pence told just 13 people at a pizza ranch in Red Oak. But wait, hold on. But as y'all know, I think Iowa has a unique opportunity to give our country a fresh start. And he told people to keep an open mind. Bro, that it is over. When you're saying keep an open mind, that is, you're done. It's over. Give up. Just hand your balls to your captor, because at that point, there's no real reason to petition your life, okay? It's like saying, please don't shove me into the shower, and it's like you're some disgusting cat. It's like, no, you're going to get soaked, you're going to fucking purr, you're going to cry, and that's cool, because that's what I want to see. I want to see you squirm, Mike, because I'm sick. Anyway, yeah, so he told this to 13 people. This is the fucking pizza parlor, I guess, that he had people hold up at. That's tough. So this is him at the Iowa Fair, but again, they're not here for him. This is the 13 people crowd, all right? I mean, that's fucking pathetic. I could probably pull more people by just like yelling in a corner at a club. Seriously. So, I mean, that's just fucking pathetic, eh? It's a dismal sort of existence. My lord. Here, this is a problem. Mike's biggest strengths are his doggedness and his belief that God has a plan for him, says his longtime friend Mike Murphy. So, think about it. Also, but he's also going to have he has to be open to discerning the difference between his plan and God's plan. So haven't you noticed? So, and again, I'm a Christian, but a lot of people in religion will use it as a crutch to say, oh, it's God's plan. God told me to be president. Well, what a fucking convenient sort of thing for God to want you to do, is to be the most powerful person in history. Oh, so convenient. Oh, it's God's plan for me to be this like better than everybody, holier than thou fucking presidential candidate. Yeah, sure, buddy. And you know what? Fair enough. Is there like one guy every 4 years in which God has an idea? Okay, yeah, maybe. But is it you, Michael Pence, when you're at 2.6% in the state of Iowa after having 170 days to campaign? You can only muster up a fucking fundraiser amount of $1.2 million. You literally have a Trump NFT scam. You have like 1/10 of one of those. Like, Trump could literally tweet something out in 30 seconds and raise the money that you did your entire fucking life, okay? This is just a pathetic existence. For somebody to be leeching off of someone else and then to leverage it into not even 5% of that person's clout. I mean, it's just really bad. It's a really ugly figure, because you're a 65-year-old man. You ought to get it together. And he's going to couch this in this like evangelical nonsense, when in reality, is it God's plan for Mike Pence to be president? I personally would say it isn't. And if God's track for you to be president is for you to be pulling at 2%, to be having $1 million in cash, and to have all these liabilities to the point where you're going to be doing fundraisers in retirement homes for years to come because your campaign is in fucking wrecks, then at that point, again, that plan doesn't seem to be working out now, is it? Okay, look, this is your average Mike Pence supporter, by the way. Larry Winham, a 67-year-old Republican community banker in Glenwood, Iowa, told Pence that it took a lot of character, and he thinks that he did the right thing in regards to what he did on January 6th. So think about it. This sort of person is the type to support Mike Pence only because he's anti-Trump, which again is not something that you ought to be lauded for. Because basically, you're only supported insofar as you're a-logging or you're hating the guy who's winning, who's on top. So you're not the kingmaker. You're just the guy who's ankle biting him, like a piranha, but with Down syndrome, like more like a kissing fish that nibbles in a way that is discomforting. That is the existence of Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, etc. And so they're really sort of trying to be the albatross around the neck of Trump, but they're not going to have their own clout. And so you have somebody who could say, Larry Winham could say, well, you know what? You're a nice guy, but does that get you shit? You could be the morally correct person. Does it actually matter, though? No, Trump is still winning. Why? Because he brings the content, he has the confidence, he's the main character, and he fucking knows it. That's important. At the end of the day, it's about me. It's about the candidate. It's about the person winning, the person hating, the person in the right. That does not fucking matter in politics. Come on. And you don't have to read Machiavelli to understand this. This is just basic common sense. for Mike Pence to be the holier than thou. Oh, I was so right about the election. No, you weren't, bitch. Even down to this detail, to revitalize the campaign, Mike Pence reshaped the debate on abortion rights, pulling candidates like Tim Scott and Ron DeSantis to the right, forcing them to embrace a 15-week national ban on abortion. Now, that is probably the most you could say about Mike Pence, is that he's like, oh, like in a way through 5D chess, he's like making the Republicans go from 18-week abortion bans to 15, as if that makes a fucking difference. Honestly, I don't even care. But secondly, it's like also, that's so stupid. Shaping your policy does not get you more votes. If you look at history, as of the last 20 years, it's been the clout and the charisma of the candidate. It has virtually nothing to do with what they actually believe. It's about the answers they give. When you see Trump saying something, he's freestyling it. He's freebasing it. He doesn't give a fuck. He's raw dogging it every time. Mike Pence can train, look in the mirror and talk to himself, but it will not ring true what he says with the populace, which is why populist politicians like Trump mog and just shit on Mike Pence. People like Obama, who appeal to a crowd of niggas. These people are the ones voting, not intellectual CNN watching know-it-all bastards like Larry Winham or whoever the hell else wants to speak to the praise of these fucking tertiary also rans in the 2024 primary for the Republican nomination. It's like a pathetic thing to watch. Another banger by Mike Pence, by the way. He made a life of just being ahead of the political moment. I was Tea Party before it was cool. I was for ethanol before it was cool. I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? Who are you appealing to? Some 27-year-old intern, autistic, white, pasty, fucking South Bend, Indiana ass nigga? Dude, who cares? I was in the Tea Party in 2009. I was pro ethanol subsidies in 2003. Who cares, bro? Nobody asked. Nobody asked. I'm somebody who reads all this shit, and I don't care. How the fuck do you expect some normal-ass motherfucker in the suburb to give a shit? You were conservative, you were a House Majority Whip 15 years ago, which he wasn't. Oh, wow. Okay, bravo. Now what? Now what? What are you, John Boehner? Nobody cares. Folks, this is the exact problem we have with politicians like Mike Pence. This is the issue. This is the sort of person that you want to run the country. Do you see president here? And again, Mike Pence, phenotypically, there's nothing wrong, okay? He looks, he's like 5'11", 65-year-old white guy, silver hair, or I guess fully dead white at this point, no melanin. Okay, that's presidential. He looks like a president. Like if you just put him in a TV show, okay, fine. There's nothing wrong with this. But the problem comes when you're looking at an audience. And again, let's go to a Mexican. Let's go to a Canadian. And we say, you know what? This guy's a presidential candidate. He's been running for 6 months. He was vice president a couple years ago. You expect a crowd of at least 100 people. We're looking at a crowd of like 13 fucking people. And they're all old. Where are the people under the age of 40? I've yet to see a single one. We've got buddies over here pensioned from like the Second World War. And like maybe Casper the Ghost in the back peeking in. And that's about it, okay? So again, that's the whole problem. You're seeing an old guy with his busted ass wife with no bitches. It's greeting cards in the back. I mean, he's just going to random stores, seeing who will take his fucking unsolicited advice about how to run the country, and it's looking like an abject failure. And what's even better is that he's doing worse than Joe Biden did in 2008 in Iowa. And Joe Biden at the time was a 67-year-old aging white guy with a lot of credentials, but not a lot of clout, not a lot of charisma, not a lot of money. But what he did have was this genteel sort of old school politician, Irishman sort of shtick. And it actually went better for him than it's been going for somebody like fucking Mike Pence. And similar to Joe Biden, they took the outsider populist candidate and leached onto him in 2016 or in 2008, like for Biden. Just that at least Biden grifted into 2 terms, whereas Mike Pence grifted for 1 and then just shat on Trump like an idiot. And now look where he's at now. Had he just sucked Trump's balls, he could have been vice president again, at least the nominee for it. But instead, he's relegated to and also ran. Another major key alert. Haywood told me that he had met Pence no fewer than 8 times in a couple of months in Iowa, that he's a hell of a guy, but that he was really just a Trump guy and that it didn't hurt to have a second option. Okay, so this is how people view you. You could be a nice guy, you could be in person, doing all the hard work as a candidate, canvassing, whatever have you, and still say, nah, fuck you, Trump's better. And does Trump even know this Haywood guy exists? No. Does Trump give a shit about Dave Haywood, who's a 66-year-old retired white guy? Nobody cares. Trump doesn't give a shit, but he still loves Trump over Pence. What does that say? It says that Trump has the sauce, Pence has none of it. He's got napkin charisma, which is another key insight into why this guy's losing. These guys, I think, are bowing in prayer or whatever, which is fine. But this is the outfit we're talking about with Mike Pence, all right? Look, this is just uninspired. This is literally like my grandfather took me out for breakfast and I didn't really want to, but here we are on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, I guess it'd be like a brunch. But anyway, the point is like that's the vibe, right? Like, this is not even a country club attire. This is like a step below. This is like we're going to not even Golden Corral. I'll give him credit. This is Cracker Barrel sort of attire. And again, this is not presidential, okay? At least with Mitt Romney, when he wore the mom jeans, you know that he was faking it. You knew he had money, that he had Bain Capital, you had shit going on. But with this guy, it's like, no, you're actually broke, okay? This bullshit, you're actually you're a brokey. Secondly, Trump, when Trump pulled up, it was suit, out of character, New Yorker, don't give a fuck, what's up, peasants? I like you guys, actually. There you go. Affable in a way that is douchey, but people dug it. This guy on the other hand, it's like, hey, I'm just like one of you guys. Not because you're relatable and you're cool, but because you are a loser just like everybody else. Another telltale sign that the West is falling. Again, this is your sort of Mike Pence clientele here. Even better than that. Look at this disgusting fucking pizza. What is this? Ugh. Jesus. Again, look at this candidate field right here. These are like the top 6 people running for president aside from Trump. Point one out that is actually like the one that's like the alpha. You have Chris Christie not even in the same direction looking towards the other guys. Mike Pence, who looks like a literal like Disneyland, like, oh, here's the president wax figurine going like this. Hi, guys. And then you have Ron DeSantis awkwardly looking like a retard. Then you've got Vivek Ramaswamy. Nothing else needing to be said there. Nikki Haley, girl, cringe. Anyway, Tim Scott, black, milk dud, McDonald's employee if he were white. Anyway, so, I mean, just look at this. Donald Trump is an icon. These niggas ain't got shit. Okay, look at this. Pence had just plopped down for an impromptu haircut. He looks the fucking same regardless of how you cut his hair. Tells you all you need to know. If Trump got a haircut, everybody would know about it. That's the problem. You got to be an icon. Even Obama, when his hair went from like black middle-aged guy to ashtray, people noticed. And to wrap it all up, I hope you can pick it up in my voice. I'm very excited about the future. I'm very optimistic about the future. He said, because I have faith. I, along with the other 20 disembodied spirits of the people that would have been in your hollow-ass rooms of attendance for your rallies, would also concur and say, you know what, nigga, we don't have faith. We do not have faith. Folks, the ship is fucking sinking. I would say the Titanic, but no, this is like a life raft. This is like the broken, trailed off piece of wood from a life raft from the Titanic that is about to crash into what God knows what, a ravine or something. I don't know. Look, the point is that Mike Pence is going absolutely nowhere fast. He's going to be ended up in a retirement home, not only because he's old, but 2, because he actually has to fundraise because the guy's going to be in debt. So he's a brokey. You're broke! Your campaign's going for broke and it's failing. It's tragic. You shouldn't have betrayed Trump, folks. That's what you get. Disloyal ass nigga. Pack watch. See you all in the next video. Adios.